Nibiru and the astro-state of Olympia Phoenix. The president of END, Dr. Lambrakis, is shocking in what he says publicly about Zecharia Sitchin and his daydreams concerning Sumerian intellectual property theft, and about the planet Nibiru, etc., and the Anunnaki, of course. The late December gathering of 91 U.S. leaders and 4 former U.S. presidents in South Africa to allegedly attend the fake funeral of Mandela, who died on June 29, 2013, and had been buried already, was intended to find a way to gather the so-called elite of the planet without raising suspicions and coordinating in view of the latest events in space, which make them lose sleep. So what's happening in space which is make them worried about what's going on in the universe around us. On November 26, 2013, an armada of vessels, a craft led by Saturn's helper, invaded our solar system in order to liberate the booty starship Lilith, which was captured by the Olympians on May 5, 2012, and to liberate the alien reptilians who are locked up in underground bases, some of them on U.S. soil, and forbidden by the Olympians to surface on our Earth. Now we know that there are texts claiming that Alexander the Great of ancient Greece, around 330 BC, when he lived, one of the things he had to do when he was conquering the areas he went to was do away with the abominable races of Nephilim-looking Anunnaki, half people, half animal. Now we know even one of the past kings of Athens was half man on the top half, half snake on the bottom half. And of course there are a lot of Indian deities that are half human, half animal. Anyway, Alexander the Great was to do away with them, and those he couldn't do away with, he threw in pits, covered with the pits with various metals that were poisonous to these reptilian Nephilim Anunnaki creatures, and then he built pyramids on top of them, supposedly. Now, so there were Nephilim at the time, described as some of them having their heads in the middle of their torsos, things like that. Now, so late December, they lost sleep. They didn't know what was going on in space around us. And the Olympians said that these alien reptilians were locked up in underground bases and forbidden by the Olympians to surface on our Earth. The conflict of the apostates with the forces of the Olympians, who are in our solar system, the writer here claims, for the purpose of protecting our planet, was fierce and ended in crushing the forces of other aliens and their expulsion to the dark side of the galaxy. During hostilities, various crafts were ambushed, and crafts of their mothership, Arcturus, captured by Ulysses, disintegrated. Now, who was this Ulysses? Anyway, there were those that were imprisoned in bipolar electromagnetic prisons on Olympian flagship called Nemesis, and in a distant past, the inhabitants of some planets of Lyra were affected by a mysterious disease which caused their biological vibrations to decrease and their average lifespan to decrease from 1,000 years to 800 years. This fact worried the biologists of Lyra Empire, who discovered a vaccine with monatomic gold that cured the disease. Gold finding and mining expeditions were immediately organized, which, under the collective name Crown of the Wings, extracted vast quantities of gold from our planet Earth in order to transport it to their own planets for their health, of course. Immediately after the explosion of the 2 atomic bombs in Japan in 1945, these Olympians sent to the edges of our solar system and beyond Pluto the star city Phoenix, in other words, a craft called Phoenix, which was placed in orbit around the sun. And this star city is larger in diameter than our moon, carrying thousands of subsidiary and subsidiary vessels, and is staffed by 10 million transcendent and embodied entities. And star state vessels perform surveillance, intelligence gathering, sometimes rescue missions. And this star city craft Phoenix is what scientists call the 10th planet, Planet X, Planet Xena, or Planet Nibiru. Now, Lilith, this is a renegade ship from the 8 Bootes, which entered our solar system 13,500 years ago and was forced, I guess this was something like the Black Knight that people said is around Earth. So it entered our solar system 13,500 years ago and was forced by the forces of the 7th mission into a static orbit behind the invisible side of the moon so that it would not be seen by terrestrial means of observation. And with their technology, they were turning it into a monatomic gold, the gold that they got from here, turning it to monatomic gold. So now, Dr. E. Lambrakis, concerning the planet Nibiru, he said, I'm going to tell you perhaps a tale or a myth, what Zecharia Sitchin told us while translating the plates of the Sumerian tablets of the Nineveh library. So he told us that the god Anu, these are the Anunnaki, who is the lord of the 10th planet. So Zecharia Sitchin tells us, and not only does he tell us, but if you look at the depictions of the tablets, as well as the ancient reliefs that we found from Mesopotamia, there are solar systems described to us. The strange thing is that the description of the solar system, as well as its schematic illustration, includes the 10th planet, the planet Nibiru. And we know that 9 planets of our solar system with different distances from the sun revolve around the sun in a certain flat orbit, but the 10th planet, which astronomers call Planet X and archaeologists call Planet Nibiru, it's a planet that has a vertical orbit, a vertical elliptical orbit with respect to the flat orbit of the other 9 planets. So this planet has an orbit of 3,600 years, and when it's close to the planet Earth, hence in the perihelion, it has energy sufficiency. When it is at aphelion or apogee, it's further away from us. For the furthest point, it does not have energy sufficiency and needs its atmosphere to be reinforced by powdered noble elements to maintain its energy sufficiency, like, for example, monatomic gold. So the planet Nibiru orbits, according to the writings of the Sumerians, with this huge orbit of 3,600 years when it comes into contact with our other constellations, like those of the constellations of Andromeda, Sirius, Arcturus, etc. So on this planet that has life, Anu is the ruler, and we can listen to the symbolism to understand the Old Testament. So Anu, who is married to a woman who is sterile, hence unable to conceive and give birth to a son, jumps into a neighboring constellation of Andromeda. We know Andromeda is coming close to Earth. Finds another woman, and we're supposed to clash with Andromeda in 5 billion years from now, at the time of the end of our sun as well. Now, so he jumps to a neighboring constellation of Andromeda, finds another woman, and with whom he gives birth to a child whom he names Enki. Later, Anu realizes the wife at a very advanced age conceives a son and gives birth to him and names him Enlil. Enki has a first interest, and Lil, who is the second son, but is also the legitimate son of the legitimate wife, claims primacy from Enki, because according to the customs of society on Nibiru, the firstborn son receives all the offices from the father. So with a not so honest process, Enlil's mother ousts Enki, and Enlil takes over the firstborn's rights. And he says, I want you to watch exactly what the Sumerian scripture tells us and compare the story of Adam and Sarah and Hagar. So Isaac and Ishmael. So because this happened, because there was a need for energy support of the planet, Enki, in order to avoid this confrontation between the two heirs to the throne, supposedly undertakes to come to Earth with the purpose of mining gold, which gold was necessary for energy sufficiency and maintenance of the atmosphere of the planet Nibiru. So he came to Earth about 400,000 years ago, came down to Earth, and for the first time gold mining started in South Africa. There in South Africa, even today, there is still the deepest gold mine tunnel. It's about 3.9 kilometers into the earth, down, and today's huge amounts of gold are still mined in the Zimbabwe-Botswana region. Gold mining from South Africa for 235,000 years. To mine the gold, he brought a race of slaves. All that I'm telling you is not a fairy tale. It's the translation from the Nineveh tablets, the Sumerian tablets. And for about 150,000 years, gold mining has been going on from South Africa. And the gold was all leaving the earth with a group of spaceships, which spaceships were directed by a tribe called the Igigi or the Ijiji, the Anunnaki. Now, the spaceships orbited the Earth, and smaller daughter spaceships from the mothership received the gold from Earth, transferring it to the larger spaceships, which brought it to the planet Nibiru. And you may think of it as a Christmas tale, but it would be good to see the details to understand what exactly is happening in today's reality. If anyone is aware and has an open mind to look to find out what exactly is happening in the balance of the planet. So after gold mining continued for about 150,000 years, a revolution took place, and when Enki was able to suppress the revolution, the council on Nibiru with Anu the king decided and ordered that a race be created from the beings already existing in Earth mixed with alien DNA so that gold mining can continue. And this happened 235,500 years ago. So for 20,000 years, the genetic experiments began by taking Homo Neanderthal, mixing Homo Neanderthal DNA with DNA from different constellations to be able to create these many races on the planet. And about 4 months ago, the first time it was announced to us that the metropolis was found north of Botswana and south of Zimbabwe, which is 220,000 years old and inhabited by 400,000 people. Completely paved city with all building foundations visible from the air were photographed. And completely coincidentally, at the exact same time, we were also shown photos at the bottom of the Atlantic where the outline of a sunken Atlantis could be seen on the Google Earth maps. And these two incidents happened at exactly the same time. That is, the presentation of both the visual material for Atlantis and for the first metropolis on the our planet Earth. So now the mysterious meetings of heads of state in Africa. So man, Homo sapiens, was made exactly 235,000 years ago, and we found out that in the last 8 to 10 years, when we've been able to analyze the genetic code, and as we have explained in the past, the 70 pairs of DNA are passed down from the woman without any interference from the male DNA, and this concerns the genetic materials and the characteristics of the mitochondria. So this is the mitochondrial DNA that is passed from woman to woman without mutation. In this way, the computer was able to calculate when and where the first woman was born. After they found it with the science of genetics, they were then forced, hence the Council of Ten and the Grey Pope, to give us the physical evidence for the first metropolis of humanity, where it was also the sunken Atlantis. Why are we talking about all this today? I won't tell you why, but what I have to tell you is that it's completely connected to the gathering of 91 heads of state, including 4 American presidents in South Africa, recently to supposedly attend a fake funeral ceremony for Mandela, who was already buried before. And what exactly, or who exactly did these 91, or at least the most important of them, meet in South Africa? Who exactly did they meet, and what was the announcement? This is something you'll need, you will allow me to reserve to refer to. We may be allowed to announce it sometime in the near future. So the victory of the forces of light is decided. connected through, though this is from about 10 years ago, the Federal Reserve, which is very important. But here we go to much more important of the dominance of the planet. Those who are aware know that there are many forces protecting both sides. The DNA and expression on the surface of the planet, actual forces that underpin both DNA in different universes, confrontation between forces, space forces and our planet taking place elsewhere. So because of the last days where the end, I don't know, maybe the end times were it's so important that the human race, and because the highly aware of what exactly is happening, those who were curious to investigate know exactly what's happening. So he says, I warned you, there will be a certain disturbance and anomaly on Earth. I told you that hopefully the healthy forces would float. We can now say with more confidence that this will happen. It is happening. And of course, the conflicts are raging. The final outcome of the battle has not been decided. It seems the victory of the forces of light is almost decided. It will not be too long. It's not too long to wait. So I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.